Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Isai Sipunga. In the news tonight, National Assembly accepts High Court judgment. Young unit commander leads the charge. City of Windhoek to rejoin the Association of Local Authorities in Namibia. Family adamant to leave farm despite assistance offered. And Roundup, Comments Corner, Business on One, Sports and Weather. Now for the news in detail. The National Assembly has accepted the recent judgment of the High Court regarding the matter between the August House and the two Landless People's Movement members of Parliament, Bernardo Swartboy and Hanny Sabeb. Leston Waller has more.
National Assembly Public Relations Officer David Nahonganja said that the August House is governed by the laws of the Republic and its standing rules and orders.
The standing rules and orders provide for the administration of the activities of the House when the House is in session. And the National Assembly accept the ruling of the judgment of the High Court delivered yesterday, that was in relation to the events or incidents that took place on the 15th of April during the State of the Nation address. Yes, basically the process started quite a long time ago. It started with, of course, the Speaker reporting the incidents to the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders, which is the body of internal economy of Parliament. And that committee then, when it set some 3 weeks ago, referred the matter to the Committee of Privilege.
Now, Nganja added that the Committee of Privileges at its meeting on the 5th of May 2021 decided to schedule a hearing on the matter on the 18th of May 2021.
The Committee of Privileges is more of a disciplinary committee that is there to look at what are the transgression of members of the National Assembly in terms of their actions in the House, and particularly for this matter in terms of what has happened on the 15th of April this year during the State of the Nation address. So the committee has about 2 meetings already, and on its last meeting of Wednesday this week, that's when they decided now to conduct a disciplinary hearing and also hearing evidence from those that were present. In terms of decision then, the committee does not met out punitive measures to members. It's expected that it produce a report with either recommendations or findings, and then it will then present that report to the House. And then it's up to the House to decide now, or if they found that the transgression committed by members on that day requires a punitive measures, then they will recommend to the House. It's the House now that decide whether to adopt the recommendation of the committee or to take its own decision. So the committee basically it's a disciplinary board that will sit, and then it gathers evidence and also make its own recommendations in its report, and then present its report to the House, and it's the House that will make the final decision.
The National Assembly promises to update the public regarding the progress of this important process at a later stage.
A young and passionate law enforcement officer serving at the CIS station led a team that apprehended poachers in the early hours of Saturday. The case gives an insight on the battle faced by those that are on the front line against the illegal hunting of wildlife. Joseph Shifeni reports.
Stock theft and the illegal hunting of wild animals is a major problem affecting the farming communities around the central area of the country, and Nampol has a unit dedicated towards curbing the rampant crime. Over the weekend alone, 5 suspects were arrested in 2 separate incidents. A 31-year-old warrant officer, Vainon Dove, recounts how he led the team that caught 3 poachers red-handed in the early morning hours. The suspects have been terrorizing the farmers near the airport.
I am the person that does most of the food patrol, which is crime prevention. I don't wait cases to be registered, so I investigate. So on that particular day, I was informed by my informer that there is bloody clothes that were spotted in the grass somewhere around the area of the airport. So what I did is I went there myself. I familiarized myself with the place. I found the bloody clothes. So that was in the afternoon. So in the evening around 8 o'clock, I went there. It's not a easy area to go because I went with my colleagues and it's dark. So I cannot also light because you don't know where they are. So I went there to that same place where I found bloody clothes earlier, and the bloody clothes were not there. So it also gave me a picture that indeed the people went to hunt. So that's their dressing room, because we also found clean clothes which they left when they wore the bloody clothes that they used to go and hunt. So I went back, and then I went to organize my team at around 2 o'clock a.m. We went in, we went to set up, and it only took us 30 minutes, and those guys, they came, the same place. So it was very easy to apprehend them. We just waited for them to drop the meat, then we arrest them on the spot.
Dove says this was a normal routine for them, and his team's efforts have been commended by the Deputy Inspector General of Nampol. The other case was of 2 suspects caught near Nogas, west of Windhoek, by Warrant Officer Elvis Kavari in collaboration with members of the Neighborhood Watch.
As I said a few days, all the reports that are reported in that area, be it stock theft, be it ordinary housebreaking or any other thing, so the report is always positive because there is always arrest and there is always recovery. There are some stations and some units where you really find crime are committed, but then no recovery and no arrest. So the result from CS police station, especially with regard to investigation, has been always wonderful. So therefore I've said to him as an example, as a role model to the younger investigating officer and the younger station commanders, so that they pick up the same proud of performance, and I think that's the way forward. That is from CS police station.
The Deputy Inspector General also called on farmers to cooperate with law enforcement officers when they are on operation. Dove said that his team will continue their work and make poaching and stock theft in Khomas region a thing of the past.
Walvis Bay Mayor Trevino Forbes and Windhoek Mayor Job Amopanda met in the capital yesterday. The meeting was mainly based on how local authorities can work closely to complete objectives.
According to Amopanda, the city will be rejoining the Association of Local Authorities in Namibia to work collectively with other local authorities in the country. The city has committed itself to reactivate its membership starting this month.
So Mayor Forbes has been busy with his visits to Windhoek. Of course, he had to meet with a lot of officers. In fact, that's most of local authorities struggle with the same thing. They have to come to Windhoek and do a lot of things like that, and we're not happy with how it is. So we also want to ensure that we build offices for local authorities, so that when they come here, they do their activities in an organized fashion. So you don't need to have mayors having meetings in hotels and things like that. So we need, for every local authority must have an office in Windhoek to be able to coordinate the activities. But
the city of Windhoek and the town of Walvis Bay are set to renew the agreement of cooperation which expired in 2002. Amopanda further expressed his appreciation to Forbes and congratulated him on the work he has done for his town.
He's done a wonderful job with his team there, and we can only wish him the best, and we are inspired about what he is doing there in Walvis Bay, and we hope that we could learn. There's a lot that we could learn about what he's doing that side, and we are very excited. And we hope to work together, not only at the level of Alan, but also in terms of our cooperation agreement. We also want to sign a tripartite agreement between Swakopmund, Walvis Bay, and Windhoek. We are the 3 Tier 1 municipality, Part 1 municipalities, as provided for by the Local Authority Act, and we need to work together.
Walvis Bay is in the process of setting up the town's strategic plan, and there won't be any outsourcing this time, says Trevino Forbes, adding that the town has committed itself to set up an economic development plan and other major developments that are still under wraps.
We have some projects we are looking at, which will be disclosed very soon. I think People are always asking, what are the municipality doing? What are these councillors doing? But I have something which I always like to say: proper planning prevents poor performance, and that is the stage we are in. We are at. Councillors, Tuesdays we have a policy whereby businesses present to council and administration, and we look at the most viable presentations for our town. And pretty soon you will inform everybody about projects that will be starting.
Some of the major problems the Walvis Bay Town Council wants to solve are housing and unemployment, says Mayor Forbes, adding that they would like to hire private contractors to run projects that will require a large workforce.
Funding, most projects we're looking at that will be starting will be private. Okay, obviously we are looking at the housing also, and how we can address the housing situation, and which will be the best route to take concerning housing. But there are some good private presentations that came in, projects that will be starting soon, maybe by end of this year. There will some big projects will be starting, which will then provide jobs in Walvis Bay, which is very important. Job creation, housing, top of our list.
Irvin will be going on sale soon, along with houses that were part of the mass housing project, with the priority being the people of Walvis Bay, says Forbes. The two mayors also spoke about the recently approved Windhoek Economic Recovery Initiative, an enterprise aimed at stimulating the city's economy and curb unemployment.
A 60-year-old farm worker from a farm on the outskirts of Okahanya in the Otjozondjupa region has found himself in a tricky situation after he was given notice to vacate the farm as his services are no longer needed. Hendrina Canyolo has this report.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Petrus Dinombo has been working on the farm for over 30 years. He says that he dedicated his life to his employer and now has nowhere to go with his family.
Nou, waar moet ik gaan? Ik heb kenners. Mijn kinderen zullen gaan school. En ik zelf nou, ik is klaar oud. Ik heb niet meer blij plek daar wat ik blij niet. Nou, Romende, waar moet ik gaan? Ik zoek hulp.
The owner of the farm said he is going out of his way to assist the family, but they are refusing his assistance and are adamant to vacate.
I don't have to pay him anything. When you retire with 60, I don't have to pay you anything. When you retire with 65, I have to pay him severance pay. Somehow I'm so stupid and wrote on that that I am going to pay him severance pay even if he's retiring with 60. It's 21 years of service. That means I'm going to pay him 21 weeks of his monthly salary. And I'm going to do that, and of course I'm going to do it. I wrote it on a letter, and I'm going to keep to that. And then I told him he has to vacate his house and the farm after 3 months of staying here and doing his planning. That is the law, and the 3 months are over. And he was staying physically in his house for 3 months. He received 3 months of electricity free, 3 months of the house free, 3 months of the water free, and even got the meat that all the other employees are enjoying, he also got for free. I asked him on the 31st of January, I asked him, where do you want to go to? And he said he wants to go home to Kavango. And I said to him, again in my stupidity, I will get you a truck. You're going to load your goats and your donkeys and your household on a truck, nicely packed. And I will transport all your goods from your residency on the farm to Kavango, Bagani, Andara, Popa Falls. He stays very close to there, free of charge. Because how can he go with his donkeys and goats by his own transport to there? I mean, he will never be able to afford it, so I'm going to do it for him. He was a good worker and he did a nice job for me, so I'm going to send everything with him to that side. His wife is not from Kavango, and his children are not from Kavango, and they were once there, and I don't think they like it too much there. They are not Kavango. His wife is not a Kavango-speaking lady. She is more from Omaheke, So I don't think she wants to go, and now they have a problem. And I don't think they know exactly where they want to go to, even up to today.
The son argues that his father has worked on the farm for many years, claiming they will not give up until they speak to President Hage Geingob.
Ons het nie die generational farmers forums gekry nie, maar die buurtmense van ons van ons region het die forums gekry van generational farmers. So my pa het 60 jaar gemaak op die 27 Januarie. Toen was hy gesê van die werkgewer van hom, eers as hy die plaas verlaat, dan sal hy die uitbetaling gegee word. En toe vra my pa vir hom, nou, wat sê die wet van Namibia? Wat sê die president van Namibia? Hy sê mos as iemand soos 37, soos hy self, my pa het 37 jaar op hierdie plaas gewerk, en hy het daar oud geraak, en ons allemaal, die kinders, is daar gebore. So waar moet ons nog gaan? So die man van die eienaar van die plaas sê, ons moet die plaas verlaat. So ons het 'n probleem met hom. Ons weet nou nie waar moet ons gaan nie. Maar ons is daar gewoon, daar gebore, waar moet ons gaan? Ons het nie 'n plek nie. En die wet wat president gesê het, dat die mense wat ou gewerk, baie jare gewerk het, moet 'n plek, ten minste 'n portion gegee word. Dat hy daar met sy diere kan woon. Dat hy ook kan survive. Dis die probleem wat ons asseblief van die president af wil hê, laat hy vir ons help asseblief. En ons sukkel van Januarie af. Ons kom nie reg nie, ons kom by die Labour, maar die Labour help nie vir ons nie. Waar moet ons nog gaan? Asseblief toch, meneer president. Ons soek help asseblief.
The matter has also been brought to the attention of the Labour Ministry, who advised Namibians to familiarize themselves with the Labour Act laws and that of the land reform.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Namibia is bleeding. Women and children no longer feel safe in the land of their birth. This is not due to war, but due to gender-based violence perpetrated by mostly men. This call is to our fathers, brothers and sons to unite against gender-based violence. Let us come together and say a big no to gender-based violence. Together, we can build a safer and better society for all. My Namibia, my country, my pride.
In other leading stories, the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation has managed to facilitate payments amounting to over 1 million Namibia dollars on behalf of employees on due amounts owed to them by their respective employers during the 2020-2021 financial year. The payments emanated from 5,430 labor complaints lodged by the affected employees and showed an increase of 966 more labor complaints from the 2019-2020 financial year. The complaints were mostly lodged by employees whose basic conditions of employment as stipulated in the Labour Act were contravened with by their respective employers. These contraventions ranged from non-payments of remuneration, unlawful deductions, unpaid overtime and severance payments, amongst others. Although the ministry managed to successfully resolve 77% of the registered labor complaints, it still seized with a challenge of some employers who are unreachable due to various reasons. Employers and employees are therefore urged to solve labor issues amicably and source for advice from the ministry to avoid labor disputes. An academic article by Dr. Wesley Peters alongside Shauna Bodman was recently published by the International University of Management Namibia Journal of Managerial Sciences. The study sought to investigate the impact of general health and psychological well-being on the happiness of cyclists in Namibia. Employee health and well-being has become a major concern in the 21st century according to Dr. Peters' literature review. Dr. Peters and his team revealed that poor health and well-being have generally contributed to less productive employees, lower quality decision, and higher levels of absenteeism. The research illustrates a growing recognition that organizations' well-being is increasingly dependent on the well-being of its workers. The findings of another Namibian study reviewed during Dr. Peters' assignment found that 42% of employees at a large industrial organization in the country are overweight, with 32% being obese. The president of the Namibian Cycling Federation, Axel Thiessen, was also appreciative of the overall merits of the study, adding that the study is comprehensive and its findings will certainly assist and guide the NCF in the promotion of cycling.
As a Namibian musician, it is a joy to have a museum of Namibian music depicting different genres of music produced in Namibia. Music has a strong bond that it can create, and I believe that the museum will make us bond. This museum is also significant as it can safeguard our music heritage for future generations to come.
I would like also Namibians not only to visit the museum, but also to help us to plan, to sponsor, and create new displays and events at the museum in the future. Many of us have old photographs or perhaps even an old instrument.
Because level's been hot the whole year. I'm a boss like Sydney, a boss like Ranga, a boss like TD. And I go to work on the beat, so boy, you can check my CD or check my rap. Museums is all on my back, and if you don't know, you gon' act. I'm top 5 and I drop fire, no rumors here, it's all fact. Say okay, 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 okay. Let me hear you at home say okay, 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 okay. Everybody say.
Joseph Shifeni is standing by for today's Business on One and economic indicators.
Welcome to Business on One. I'm your host, Joseph Shifeni. The city of Windhoek will soon launch the Windhoek Economic Recovery Initiative that will allow residents to submit business ideas and proposals for funding. We spoke to the mayor about this recent council meeting resolution. The City of Windhoek Economic Recovery Initiative will give an opportunity to aspiring business persons to submit proposals that have the potential of creating jobs for residents and the Namibian economy at large. The Mayor Job Amupanda said the initiative also aims to generate much needed funds for the municipality.
We want to be very systematic. We don't want those, somebody sells his house and put up a building and after they do it, then you say the jobs have been created. We want job creation that has an impact, job creation that have a touch of by ourselves to be able to do that. Because if we don't, our presence would be meaningless. So that's what we really seek to do. But we'll be on the lookout for the expression of interest is going to be sent out there. Everyone who have an idea that is going to create jobs in the city. So what we also want to do is to promote innovation, and then through this innovation for economic growth and employment creation. We indeed want, through where we want to increase our revenue from where it is now to about 20 billion by 2025. So we intend to grow the city's economy but also increase the revenue basis of the city.
Amupanda also said that the initiative will cut down on corruption, as has been seen in the past, where bribes were paid during the process of business proposal submissions.
A lot of people have been complaining about the city bureaucracy, that they have to pay bribes, that they only things of people who are well connected and favoring one another. Only those ones that initiatives that are being promoted and supported in the city. So we want to level the playing field, give everybody an opportunity to bring their ideas that can create jobs, their ideas that can grow the economy. Our approach to economic activities and partnership is that every person in the value chain must add value. You can't be in the chain if you don't add value. Like in an assembly plant, somebody takes the fish out of the water, and another one cleans it, another one cuts it, another one put the sauce, another one puts the fish in the container, another one put the labeling, another one put the expiry date, another one packages in the thing. So everybody in the value chain must add value. If it's so discovered that there are people in the value chain who don't add value to it, they shouldn't be in the value chain in the first place.
This was part of consolidated decisions taken by the City Council, and a press briefing will soon be held at which more details on the initiative will be provided. That's all we have for you. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Business on One.
She's a passionate a woman about stories, Namibian stories, stories of the world, and she's passionate of the words behind the stories, the languages, the ideas, brands, strategies, the audience.
My biggest dream was, I'm not talking about when I was very little, when everybody wants to be a teacher, just because they dressed so nicely, and I loved those baskets that they had always with their books in. I could see myself having one of those baskets. But no, when I was a bit older, I really thought that I would open an orphanage.
Wow.
One day. I wanted to open an orphanage and save all the children.
Because you also worried about the children.
I worried about the children. I still worry about the children.
Now a look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from the hottest social media pages. The urgent application by Landless People's Movement leaders Bernardus Swartboy and Henny Sabab brought before the High Court against their removal from Parliament by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Peter Kachavivi, has been dismissed with costs. At a press conference to respond on the matter, Swartboy revealed information obtained from his sources that pertain to the incident at the State of the Nation address. Justu says Swartboy's accusations are out of hand. Thomas says he doesn't understand Swartboy anymore. Johannes says Swartboy should change his behavior and control his emotions. Rats says he must show proof, otherwise another case will be made against him. While Martin says politics destroys the brain. And that's all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today on One.
Hello world, we're at the rooftop with Susie. Oh my gosh, we can't see anything, but she will be performing now. Everything feels like it's falling apart. Who is this lady next to you? Shikune. She's gonna go live now.
Makeup on my mother.
It's gonna be for Mother's Day. She wants to do something for me, so I said okay. So what did she?
Chairo Musiandaka is standing by for today's sports update.
Welcome to Sports on One. I'm Chairo Musiandaka. Football legend and former Brave Warriors head coach Ricardo Manetti today launched his book, A Decade of Football, as he narrates the greatest achievements in Namibian football for the past 10 years. This report from Castro Olumbu.
Renowned charismatic former Brave Warriors head coach Ricardo Manetti today launched his book titled A Decade of Football in Namibia.
This took me longer than what I've promised you. Everyone sitting here, the Debt Marine people, NDC, Standard Bank, FNB, I told them, guys, it will take a few months. And then mail after mail was, I had to write. Later on, I kept quiet. I said, nah. And my team, Marco and his guys, they were on my case. Coach, what's happening? But I just wanted it to be perfect because it's the first of its kind, and I didn't want to do a bad job and set a standard. I just wanted to do it right. Okay, so it's a 104-page magazine. Now that's massive. We have a lot of partners in there, companies, corporates sitting here. We had to interview people. Some of you were interviewed not knowing that it was my brainchild. And some of you, honestly, I have to say, you made our jobs very difficult by dragging. We just felt that we need to celebrate and elevate and get that base of statistics going. Yes, in the magazine we will, obviously there will be a few mistakes, but please bear with me and the team, right? It was really a hell of a job to get everything perfect in terms of the stats, the minutes, the goals, etc. But we really tried our best in that one.
At the launch, Manetti said that he felt the importance to write this book as it will provide the relevant information about football and its achievements in the country for the past decade.
I need to explain to you what sparked the idea. Now, as a 90s baby, as we are called, the 98 squad, and then there's a 2008 squad, and I don't know what is this class called, Ashifeni. The generation of Stiga, I don't know. What? Pimbo, please, my phone. I've realized, okay, let me do a 30-year one. But then the fact that Isak just mentioned, to gather stats in football, it's a hell of a job. That was one of the reasons. The second reason was something just stood out of the past generation. From 2010 to 2020, there was just something special. And they told me and said, no man, I told myself, Ricardo, you have to do the 10-year one. Let's start with that. Because you were part of it, you have more information concerning that. There were more players that signed professional deals in the past decade than the previous decades. I mean, the previous decades you could mention Colin Benjamin, Ronnie Canalelo, Muhammad Osep. You could actually mention them. In this decade, unbelievable, I think it's over 50, Marco, am I right? Over 50 players signed professional deals, and that says something about the entire football in our country. Another thing that encouraged me to start this project was to bring the football fraternity together and to show corporate Namibia that we can keep this game beautiful. You will not believe it with the next statistic that I will give you. In this decade, football stopped for almost 4 years. For almost 4 years. And if you take the magazine, there will be a serious contradiction to what the norm in the usual daily media is. All that you see is fights, fights, fights. The smear campaigns, that politic, what. And then you would think that there's nothing happening in football. That's a lie. That's in the boardrooms. So let's keep our eye on the ball. On the pitch, really, the players, coaches, managers, everyone, all the stakeholders, and I want to ask you to give them a round of applause for making history.
The former Brave Warriors head coach had a successive stint with the national senior team as he led them to a first international trophy in 2015, winning the COSAFA Cup, and the national team's second qualification for the African Cup of Nations 2019, which was hosted in Morocco.
That's all we have for you today. Join us on our social media pages for more on sporting stories. Back to you, Isai.
Thanks, Chiro, for that update. Time now for the weather forecast.
The interior will be sunny and warm to hot in the south, elsewhere partly cloudy and warm to hot with a few thunder showers. The coast will be partly cloudy and mild to warm, and the wind will be moderate northwesterly to southwesterly, becoming fresh southeasterly later. Now let's have a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
And that is all from us this evening. Join us again tomorrow at 7 p.m. And don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. From me, Isai Sipunga, and the rest of the Today on One team, it's good night.
Scientists are racing to find a COVID-19 vaccine. Creating a vaccine usually takes years, sometimes even decades. More than 150 vaccine candidates are being developed worldwide. Some of the trials furthest ahead have produced encouraging results. Several possible vaccines appear to have produced an immune response with antibodies, T cells, and no serious side effects. Antibodies are protective proteins that fight infections in the body. Some T cells kill infected cells. Others help B cells to make the right antibodies to fight a virus. It's uncertain how long immunity to COVID-19 would last. 6 other human coronaviruses have been known about for years. Natural immunity for the most common 4 is quite short-lived and generally lasts a few years. A COVID-19 vaccine could require booster jabs after years or even months. Scientists are using a variety of methods to make a vaccine. Several human trials are creating vaccines using the genetic code of the virus. Other human trials, and some with animals, are trying more traditional methods, such as using a weakened or inactive virus. This variety might lead to more than one type of vaccine. Having several could actually be very useful, as each one may be more effective among different people. Despite the promising progress, it's not guaranteed an effective and reliable vaccine will be found. If there isn't one, the virus might eventually infect everyone. Some scientists are hoping to have a vaccine ready for limited use before the end of this year, but most are predicting mid-2021. Once regulators have approved a vaccine, billions of doses will have to be made. Then there's the tricky task of distributing and administering it on a global scale. Collaboration will be needed so the poorest don't miss out. Health workers could be at the front of the queue to get it. But who should be next in line?
I like rhinos. I like them very much. Future here in this area is depending on the tourism. The future generation, they can see and they can benefit from their own resources. Animals like rhinos, elephants, the big five, you benefit from them and it must be respected. You are not feeding the rhinos, you are not giving them order, so it's a free business.
I don't know, cut it off.
I take two of my sons, which was little bit 5 years old. They were young guys. So they asked me questions. Why are we here? Why are we sleeping here? I told them this is our resources and this is our future.
My first memory of going with my dad is that I learned new things. As I grow up as a man, I see an opportunity in it. So I decided to look for a job pertaining tourism. So that's when I was employed at Palamba. So I decided to go for tour guide studies. Because I grew up with the tourism industry, the wildlife, the rhinos and everything, to bring that experience to the tourists. You can see the hyena. The biggest changes, I was employed, getting paid, and also I can now support my family.
It's a cultural thing. It's coming a long way. Even if you go to area like Fontaine, area was a lot of paintings. You will see rhino engravings on the rocks. That is an indication that the interaction between human, especially the local communities and wildlife, is dating back. That intimacy relationship is coming for a long time.
We are right here now at Palambach, and Palambach is one of the big lodges in the heart of the desert. And as you can see there is Jumbo standing behind me, which shows it's really a tourist area. We do have elephants, lions, but as you can see, the desert is the heart of the rhinos. This is the main breeding area of the rhinos, is what we found here in this desert.
It's the largest free-roaming population of black rhinos that you find outside national parks in the world. It's a population that communities in the northwest have taken responsibility themselves in managing this population with the structures that government has put in place, more specifically the establishment of conservancies.
These people, before independence, they took it upon themselves and decided that wildlife is our heritage, and through history we've been living with wildlife. And having wildlife in your area is like having a garden.
Because of all these animals, we've got the communities that benefit from all this wildlife. And it's like a triangle that fits into each other. And the communities looked after the wildlife doing their own thing, and the communities benefit.
So already there were this intergenerational relationship between mankind and wildlife, and that bond is what our people actually wanted to see it continuing.
Very few countries have the wildlife that Namibia has. What is also important is the policies that Namibia has put in place, which also involves communities to be engaged in the management of the wildlife species and also to benefit from the wildlife resources.
Turn conservation into a rural economy, turn conservation into endless opportunities that would actually cater for those young people that have nothing else to do.
If it was not for rhino economy and tourism in this area, it was really difficult for young people to get or find a job.
We are conservation engineers. We make conservation work in an unfenced area, and through that, we want to turn the wildlife into the rural economy that will benefit the rural communities.
So we can see now wildlife is doing very well, the lodges are doing well, and the community is also benefiting. So it takes all three together.
Devastating hit over coronavirus fears. Airline industry is facing its biggest threat to travel since 9/11.
Since March, when COVID-19 hit Namibia, things actually become very difficult. In the first place, all the lodges closed down because of COVID-19. With us, Save the Rhino Trust, we had some donors cutting on their funding. And then we had, in the same time, a poaching case of 2 rhinos that was poached. We had less boots on the ground, and poachers could actually see. Now it's our chance to go in and do something. So COVID-19 was tough on all of us. Ginger Morning, who is one of our trustees, actually came up with the idea of, why don't we ask you to go to buy some gold for us and make gold bars? And then we sell them for the rhino conservation.
I was fortunate enough to have a chance to have lunch with Clive Johnson, the CEO of B2 Gold in Vancouver, Canada. And I looked at Clive and I said, we've got rhinos, you've got gold, let's do something. Let's create a coin or a medallion or a bar using your resource to create a sustainable source of funding for rhino conservation for the future.
There was it. The gold was bought, the bar was made. And I think it was January, 31st of January, that we launched the bars in Windhoek. And suddenly one morning I had an email from my office, from my finance person, saying, these people don't have salaries. So I said, oh, what now? So I picked up my phone and I phoned Mark Daw. I said, Mark, I've got this problem. He said, but we've got the fund already ready for you. You just have to apply, put a proposal in.
1,000 ounces of gold can make an enormous difference to the livelihoods of the communities that live up there. We are, in essence, providing income and providing a livelihood to the communities. In the absence of tourism, especially now with COVID-19, even prior to that, when we had such a bad drought, the communities became even more dependent on the natural economy.
The idea is to make this a fund that will last for the next 25, 30 years, or even longer. And a portion of that will be distributed immediately as needed. And in this case, the COVID-19 crisis necessitated us to distribute funds to pay salaries to help people in the field.
The proceeds of the sales from the gold bars will be going towards responsible NGOs. And we've identified Save the Rhino Trust as the key NGO. And IRDNC, one of the first organizations that was in the Northwest, integrated rural development and nature conservation, so that ultimately the funds go to the communities and various aspects of their war on poaching.
To be able to support those hardworking men and women that are always in the front line between the poachers and the rhinos.
If it was not for B2 Gold and the golden bars, I think by now we should have been in big trouble.
By extracting the gold, you reinvest it in other renewable resources.
The gold that's coming out from the ground is actually protecting the wildlife that's working on the ground, which is a very good symbol for the others.
I wish this was my bar. This is the 500 gram gold bar. So you'll see on this side you've got the Etendeka Mountains and you've got the mother rhino with the calf. And then on the reverse side we've got the serial number You've got the Rand Refinery stamp, which is very important. Anywhere in the world, people will recognize the stamp and they will know that this bar contains 99.99% gold.
It is gorgeous.
We wanted to make a biggest contribution. And at Ballowwood, we see that as a way of giving back to the community.
Okay, so there you'll see the 500 gram bar.
Very special.
Feel the weight. It's incredible.
This opportunity which presented itself is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're privileged to have this.
This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think this showcase really what the project is all about.
It's from 24-karat Namibian gold.
I'm looking at these rhinos is put there like Miss World photogenic, I would say.
There are only 1,000 of these gold bars, rhino gold bars, in circulation.
As far as I'm aware, it's the largest single donation of any corporate to the conservation of biodiversity anywhere in Africa.
Therefore, we so much appreciate and would want to continue as a government to work with B2Gold.
And the fact that it's happening here in Namibia is something that we can all be extremely proud about and very grateful to B2Gold.
Thanks to having this literal pot of gold through the funding for the Rhino Gold Bar, we're able to step in now and make sure that those trackers are supported, and so are their families and their communities.
We make sure that people sustain their jobs going forward, and who doesn't want gold?
And the B2Gold Rhino Gold Bar has come in at a really critical time now, particularly with tourism being closed off and those forms of revenue not coming in.
To say we have the biggest rhino population or black rhino population in the world, let it be for the rest of our lives. And it's that heritage that we have, it's our resource that we can all look after and protect.
It's our heritage. And it's also good that other people like B2Gold are also seeing it that way.
It's actually a very nice link between the investor that buys this gold bar, the rhino tracker in the northwest of Namibia, and the black rhinos. It's an intergenerational thing. The rhino trackers teach their children how to track rhinos, their children get taught, and so it flows down.
This is something that I want my children to have, and that we leave a little bit of a B2Gold legacy. And if I can be part of that as part of my family, I'd be very proud.
It can also become an inheritance for the generations of my own clan. My children, my grandchildren.
If we can bring that passion over to future generations and to hand that over to my children, and I hope that that same passion for conservation gets migrated over to my kids.
And what we've done together is create a sustainable source of funding that should outlive all of us.
You know, I think as far as B2Gold is concerned, we couldn't have chosen a better target in which to put our efforts as far as the environmental and conservation pillar is concerned. And I want to stress there that the money that's going towards environment and conservation is actually going towards the people.
Rhino is for all of us, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Vancouver, whether you are in the US. If you really want to see conservation at play with rural communities, I therefore humbly request each and everyone to join us on our Rhino tour and have a wonderful experience. This is what keeps rhinos on this planet.
I've done rhino trekking experience. It was just amazing walking in that landscape of the Kunene. And as we followed them, we could now find rhinos with the calf. We got the closest distance we could.
It's a warning sign.
And it was just amazing and lovely, something to experience that Namibia can offer. It's something that you have to do in your life.
beautiful people. This is Nikita Winkler, and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take enough time in each position that your body requires to release its tension. So let's get started. In this session, we will be stretching the ankles and feet. So first I'm going to spread my toes and make sure that my feet are grounded and aligned with my knees and my hips. And what you can also do here is lift one toe and then the other ones. This is really good exercise to strengthen the muscles in your feet. From here, we're going to press forward to open up the ball of the foot. And we make sure while we're doing this that the ankle doesn't sickle. By pressing towards the big toe to align the foot, the ankle with the knee and the hips. Next, we're going to go into ankle rotations. We're going to do both ways. You can do this on the floor, and for more freedom, you can take it off the floor. You can also do all of these stretches sitting for more comfort. And then we're going to tuck the toes to stretch the front of the ankle. So in this stretch, give pressure to the front of the ankle. You'll feel the stretch in the toes and in the ankle, and you don't have to keep it for too long. Also make sure that the ankle doesn't sickle in this stretch, but that you're pressing towards the inside. Right, now we're going to go into foot massages. First, I'm going to massage in between the bones of the toes to open up the foot, and then I'm going to use my thumb to dig into the arch of the foot, giving it circular motions or whatever feels good. And then I can go to the heel, again using enough pressure and using the thumb. Right, if you position yourself comfortably for your foot massages, you can take as long as it feels good. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to breathe and happy stretching.